Good afternoon. I would now be making a presentation about the developmental activities in the college, probably in a manner past, present and future, covering the teaching learning process, research and development activities, and also concluding with showing some photographs of the college as of it today. So all of you know that the college was started in the year 1957, and the college continues to be a government-aided college. We have funding from the central government and the state governments and the management as well. And we were granted autonomy in the year 1987, so we have our own academic processes. And we have also been accredited by the National Board of Accreditation in India. We were first accredited in the year 1998, then in 2006, and very recently in 2013. All the undergraduate programs recently have been accredited for the maximum credit that is possible. Then we currently offer 7 undergraduate programs and 14 postgraduate programs and doctoral programs in engineering, science and architecture disciplines. So we have from BE, then MTech and then PhD degrees offered from through the college. All of us will recollect that the college is founded by our late Karamuthu Tyagarajan Chettiar, the founder, who's a true philanthropist and entrepreneur by himself. And then our past chairman was late Thrumadi Radha Tyagarajan Avargal. She was the founder vice chancellor of Alagappa University, and currently the chairman is Mr. Karamuthu T. Kannan. Now, the uniqueness of the college as of now is that every department has taken up a theme area to work for. Unlike an IIT environment, you cannot work in all areas. But for a university colleges like ours, we thought we will choose some theme areas. These theme areas have been chosen based on the technology trends, then the direction in which we wanted to grow, and the way the infrastructure has been built and will be built in the future. Now, if you look into the theme areas, most of them coincide with the grand challenges proposed by the National Academy of Engineers in the US and the Vision 2020 exercise carried out by Dr. Kalam sir when he was the principal scientific advisor. And these are the domains, namely eco-friendly structures, then automation, power, energy, wireless, knowledge engineering, database, then business analytics, modeling, material science, green chemistry, and heritage. These are theme areas, and we have divided each of the theme areas into subgroups called special interest groups. These are groups which have facilitated a lot of academic and research activities in the college. We are currently nearing about 4,000 students, and there are almost 2,600 boys and then 1,300 girls. In fact, in electrical engineering, electronics engineering, computer science and IT, girls outnumber boys. So that's how the college is now. And there are about 254 faculty members in the college now. Now, I have also given some of the photographs. Somewhere it is embedded, somewhere it is clearly given. You could see the way the college has changed as of now. Now let's go into the past, present and subsequently the future. Now I have divided the whole of the years into 3 from the inception, from 56 to 86, then 87 to 99 and then 2000 till date. Now you see I am trying to talk about the teaching learning process where we have now more or less transformed from teacher-centricness to learner-centricness. That's what everybody now talks about, and outcome-based education is what we are trying to promote. Now, in 57, we were affiliated to Madras University. Subsequently, some of the 72 batch, etc., they will remember that the institute was affiliated to Madurai Kamaraj University subsequently. Then the syllabus used to be given by the university. And then we had initially the BE courses, the traditional civil, mechanical, electrical, and subsequently in 82 ECE was started. Then we also offered BSc Applied Science. Then ME in Structural Engineering and Power Systems were the only two courses which were there in the initial period. Then in 87 we had our autonomy. That's probably one of the major milestones in the history of TCE, wherein we started looking at our own curriculum. So 87 and then the autonomy means that 91 batch was the first batch which has come. I have seen many of the 91 batch students here. That was the first batch when the autonomy was exercised. And then we also had B Computer Science around 89 or so we started. Then B Arc degree was started. B Tech in Information Technology was started. Then ME in Communication Production, etc. The first accreditation in 1998. Then from 2000 we started additional intakes. In fact, the IT industry started booming, so there were a lot of intake changes happening across the country, and we also did a lot of upgradation in the courses. Then we started ME in Wireless Technology, Computer Science, Environmental Engineering, now Control and Instrumentation. About as many as 14 postgraduate programs are there in the college now. And we also got accredited subsequently in 2006 and 2013. Then we have introduced what is known as a competency-based curriculum. What is the competency the student is supposed to acquire at the end of the course? And now we are talking about outcome-based education, more in tune with the Washington Accord and the Abbott criteria which are being imposed. So we have now started looking at doing a vision mission exercise again, along with the feedback from the alumni, industries, and the parents, society, professional societies, and survey organizations, which means that we will really know the expectations first, and then go on to build the program education objectives for each of the programs, and then what are the expected program outcomes and the course outcomes. So what a student at the end of the course will know, and then subsequently at the end of 4 or 5 years, what would he achieve by then. So we would have a close loop for this. This is an exercise that we have taken up, and we would require a lot of support from the alumni as well. From whatever area and field you are working, whatever experience that you have, we will shoot out some questionnaires. You could just give your feedback, which will go a long way in redefining the way the education is delivered at Tyagarajar College of Engineering. I am very happy to say that we were one of the pioneering institutes in whole of the country, whole of India. Only around 10-11 colleges have ventured into these sort of competency-based and subsequently outcome-based education. And next is the research culture. At some point of time, we believe that most of you must have completed your course ahead of 2000. And at that point of time, predominantly we were teacher-based or a teaching institution. We were not a research-based institution. So we made a conscious effort. Our chairman was very particular that the institution should transform itself from a teaching institution to research-based teaching institution. So that's why I am telling you two things, one about the academic research and another about sponsor research. This is establishing a research culture, namely the academic research. Now, one was, I hope you remember the professors at that point of time in civil engineering department. Majority of them have been educated in the US for their masters. Our founder had sent all of them to US, to Cornell, Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, Purdue. People had gone there and come back and established all the facilities. In fact, civil engineering itself was considered to be the best branch in TCE at that point of time. So that's primarily because of this. That time PhDs were available only in civil engineering and electrical engineering. And laboratory infrastructure invariably syllabus oriented. What is required was the infrastructure that was there. Subsequently, between 87 and 99, we started getting the recognition for guiding PhDs. I vividly remember the day I joined, I went and approached the then principal Mayappan sir and asked for research supervisorship. So he said that, anyway, I will give you a recommendation. We will have to talk to Madurai Kamarajan, and he recommended. Then we started getting supervisorship. When one supervisorship started coming in, then more people started gaining, more number of PhDs started coming in. So we had academic research funding was available from the government and the management, and we also started building slowly the research infrastructure. So then we had by 2000 these theme areas and special interest groups, because this is one which facilitated us to think focusedly. So if you have a focus and clear-cut goals, then probably one can achieve some of these things in a systematic manner, is what we have learned over the years. Then came the publications. There are a lot of publications. On an average, in a year, we have about 120 research refereed journal publications in the college. And, we also started getting a center of excellence in various disciplines. Now, currently in the academic research, 44% of the faculty members possess PhD. This is probably one of the highest in university environment in a college. Barring IIT, if you go into any institute, we can compete with anybody. We have about 112 PhDs in the campus. There are plenty more coming up. And then, as you see, there are external PhD guidance. Currently, around 300 people have been registered, have registered for PhD. So, which means that there are multiple number of people coming into the college for research purposes alone, and more special interest groups are getting focused in this. And then we have we are now a recognized quality improvement program center, wherein we can guide PhDs from other institutes in other states. So there are people, this year we are registering about 5 PhDs, 2 from Kerala, 2 from Karnataka. So that's how we are moving ahead. Then in terms of sponsored research, this is one of the major lacuna in the earlier days. Most of them were confined to teaching. So we wanted to really move on with sponsored research and reaching out to organizations. So we have initially at that point of time, governmental projects were there. So MHRD and then PWD sort of projects. Subsequently, we had moved to defense labs. The defense projects were supported by people from alumni. So they were working in DRDO, they came back and then said that you started doing it. Dr. Sivadhana Pillai and Dr. Sundarajan were the 2 persons who initiated this exercise. Up till now, we must have done about 30 projects for various defense projects. Most of the missile projects from India were supported in some sense or the other by our college, Prithvi, Agni, all. Currently, we are doing some work for BrahMos, thanks to Dr. Sivadhana Pillai. We recently did a indigenization work, the seeker antennas which were developed by Russia. The technology was denied, and we have replaced that antenna indigenously to BrahMos very recently. And then we established the Tyagarajar Advanced Research Center. Dr. Kalam sir, in one of his visits, chairman was asking him about supporting research. He said that teaching without research is nothing. So chairman invested about 2 crore rupees and established a research center. We have 4 research labs. And then these research labs is one which supported very many sponsored projects. And then we have now TIFAC project. TIFAC is a prestigious project. Only about 30 institutions across the country has got TIFAC. We have TIFAC in wireless technologies. We have DRDO, ISRO, and then atomic energy projects. Then AICT, and then we are also part of the consortiums. We have consortium projects like the computer science department has become part of consortium of 10 colleges, including which is headed by IIT. In the area of network security. There are other areas in which we are working on consortiums, and currently we have recently been sanctioned a World Bank project. This is Technical Education Quality Improvement Program, wherein 10 crore worth of money has been given for student development, faculty development and infrastructure development for about 2.5 years. We need to finish this project. There are going to be international faculty exchange, student exchanges and beyond. And in terms of research promotion, as I said, we have a TIFAC, we have got FIST supported departments. Almost 5 departments in the college are FIST supported department by the Department of Science and Technology. And then we have industry supported labs. So many industries have supported the labs. The Agilent Communication Lab was the one first we received it in the year 2002. We applied for the project. We won it in India, then we went through Asia, then Asia Pacific, all over the world. There were only 12 institutions which were given. In that year, the only institution which was given for us for Tyagarajar College of Engineering. And then we have National Instruments supported, Freescale supported labs. These companies give out in kind. Generally, some industries give in cash, many of the industries give in kind. They establish that labs. And then these are predominantly for academic purposes. Then they also take up research purposes. They also support the industries. This is how it evolves. IBM has given, Amada sheet metal was given by one of our alumni. 84 batch alumni is one who promoted that. Then Altera, then Texas Instruments. So all these labs are in place in the college now. Then industry interaction is something which we have really ventured very well, and then that's why Chairman was also requesting for support from the alumni much. Most of the industries have come only because of alumni working at various places, wherever they are. Now, initially, the consultancy testing work was started. In fact, Civil Engineering Department is the one which started this consultancy as a concept. Time course is a huge success in the college. Then they also built testing infrastructure. Whatever lab, many of you must have done civil engineering or mechanical engineering or electrical, the labs which are set up were predominantly towards the testing purposes. And civil engineering thrived on that. Many governmental agencies came back. Because imagine at that point of time, the professors had a vision to really establish test facilities, which in one sense helped the students, in another sense, it allowed the teachers to interface with industries and organizations. Now, this is clearly what is the direction which we are moving now. 87-99, we started the placement initiatives. Some of you must have seen at that point of time only placement initiatives were made. Then we established industry interaction cells. Now, currently, the college hosts or college has the Honeywell Development Center in place. There are about 700 employees of Honeywell employed there. They do their work, namely home automation and aviation electronics. We have a close interaction with Honeywell. They help us in placement, they help us in internship. We help them, we train the employees of Honeywell, we offer them MS and PhD programs for them. It's sort of a win-win situation over there. And then we started placement, and then there were very big boom in placement because of the IT. And then we started offering dream jobs. I will also give some details on that. We offer dream jobs means a student can have 2 jobs. Then there were situations when there were students getting 3 jobs. So that's how we have gone in now. And then very recently we innovated this. 1 credit courses. I even request some of you here can come there and offer these courses. 1 credit courses is 14-hour courses. 2 days you can teach this course, which means that any subject which is not part of the curriculum, you can frame it as a content. And then that content could be delivered for 14 hours on a weekend, whichever is convenient day. And faculty coordinator will be there. They will conduct the test and examination. But industry can come and deliver this. There are many industries which have come, starting from General Electric to Microsoft to National Instrument to smaller companies, and the Association of Consulting Civil Engineers have come and delivered. Courses are like value engineering, product lifecycle management. These are courses which will definitely give a student a value addition than what he learns in a regular curriculum. And then faculty visits have been facilitated. Then we have also started moving towards product development. There are as many as 11 patents which have been filed now. 2 have been already sanctioned. There are more in the pipeline. The patent is some concept which we were initially not very familiar. Now we are more and more into getting patents for various subjects. These are industries with whom we have interfaced. These are not mere paper MOUs. These are work that we have been doing with each of the industries. And these are mechanical related industries. We work with TVS Motors. Along with TVS Motors, we have a co-created curriculum. TVS Motors subject matter experts and our faculty members together have created the curriculum for mechanical engineering and electrical engineering. In the first year, at the end of the first semester, 30 students from both mechanical and electrical are selected. They will be, every vacation, they will go for interning in TVS Motors. At the 8th semester, students are completely allowed to go and do their project in the TVS Industries, and all their expenses, including college fees, are paid by TVS, and then they will also recruit them. The first time in the country that we have attempted this, and this is going on successful. The first batch of students are there in 6th semester. They have just completed 6th semester. They are into 7th semester. By doing this, the students have got benefited. We as teachers have got benefited. As administrators, we have got benefited in the sense that how to work with an industry and how to really convert the input from industries and customize for our own requirements is what we have learned. And then we work with Amada, then Magna Cosma International, then TAFE, then Universal Logic, CVRD, all these things are mechanical. Then with Siemens, GE, Caterpillar, CPRI, Eason,